Hey, it's Ange Peters, and welcome to WholeFit Talks, a weekly broadcast streaming live on the WholeFit Facebook page. So excited to have you join us as we jam on living, loving, and leading a supernatural life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook brand page. I see some of you hopping in already. So good to have you guys. I'm excited for our topic today. It's going to be really good. And I think it's really going to serve you no matter where you are in your journey in the online world. Welcome to WholeFit Talks. If this is your first time here, I'd love for you to say hello. Let us know that you're here for the first time live. I'm Ange Peters, and I'm the founder of WholeFit. I'm also a Canadian founder with doTERRA Essential Oils. I do this weekly Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern live show to add value to your life on the topics of holistic health. We talk about leadership. We talk about being parents and leading in our own homes first, leading ourselves even before that, right? And just really owning your life in general. I think that if I was to sum up what the nature of a lot of our topics are, it's under the heading of taking full responsibility for your health and for your success and for your life and inspiring others through your example. I also upload this to iTunes as a podcast, which I know a lot of you love to tune in that method so you can grow while you're on the go. Okay, so we're going to dive in. I would love to invite you to share this out with your communities. You can hit the share button over on Facebook and Insta if you think you might have anyone in your life, friends, or within your community that might want to hear this topic today. And if you have a live question, you guys, I would prefer if you would, in the live feed, if you would put a heart in front of your question to make sure that I see it, because sometimes the feed can move pretty fast, especially if we get a couple hundred people tuning in live. Okay, are we ready? I'm going to dive right in. I'm not going into any updates, or I'm not going to date you today or court you in any way or warm up. We're going to go right in because I have a lot I want to share on this topic. If you've ever wanted to learn how to build and really kind of exist in the land of social media today, it's changing like weekly, right? There's so many things that are shifting in that world. And today, what I want to, what do you mean, Sarah? She says, what have you done with Yarrow Palm? I'm bathing in it is what I'm doing. I'm taking 2 drops internally every day. My skin, you guys, I feel like this oil, I don't want to get off track too long here, but this oil, mark your calendars. It comes out in December and it's in the convention kits right now. It's phenomenal. I cannot say enough about it. It is just that glow from the inside out. Anyway, I digress in a good way. So what I want to touch on today's show, and the topic of social media tips, there's a lot I could share, and I'm going to keep myself on track here under these 4 kind of topics. Okay. Number 1, I want to share with you why you have to be using it if you still plan to be in business 5 years from now. You will not be able to say in a couple years, oh, I don't build online. You absolutely have to be building your brand and your business and your audience as you grow, even if you think that you only work with people in person and one-on-one. Okay, you've been misled to think that you do not need to have an online presence. But the good news is, if you don't have one, you can start now. Okay, it's never too late. I also want to go through how to grow your brand and which platforms you're going to want to pay attention to. What platforms are the place to be right now? I'm going to talk about one of the greatest compliments you could receive, which is also the barometer of someone who is a true influencer. So something for you to keep in mind as you grow. And I'm going to take the top questions that you guys submitted for this week's show underneath the question queue that I posted on Monday. So just so you know, if you want to make sure your question gets answered, every Monday at 10 a.m., I post onto the WholeFit brand page a question queue for that week's topic. And if I'm not going live in a particular week, you'll also find that out on Mondays, okay? But below that post, you can always ask your questions, and I take the most liked questions. So today, I think I'm taking 5 or 6 that were the hottest questions that you guys asked. Okay, so let's get started. So I am going to talk fast. Grab a notebook if you have it. This recording will live on the Facebook brand page. You can just go to the videos section, or you can go to YouTube and find it, or you can listen to it as a podcast after we're done, okay, if you need to go through some of these key points. So some quick points I wanted to share about myself and why I'm even talking about this. I'm in a unique position to share what I am going to share with you today because I've built my entire online audience organically since 2009, one person at a time. So I am what you would refer to as a micro influencer in social media. Okay, so I have about 25 to 30,000 followers across the various platforms. And I grow consistently by about 100 community members per week. So I'm not huge out there. Okay, I'm kind of at that chasm where I can still feel very connected to you, my community. I run all of my social media. If you ever get a response back from me or any of the posts you see anywhere on Facebook, Instagram, that is all my own writing. I will never hire that out. Okay, I feel very, that's very important to me, that I can be in that sweet spot of being connected and building those relationships authentically and knowing what you guys want to see from me and paying attention to what is exciting you and what's engaging you and creating more of that. And I really feel like you can only do that if you are in your business and you're not hiring all that out. I mean, that works at a certain level, but I just wanted to express to you that that's the place I'm coming from today. I've grown my brand. I mentioned I grew it organically. Some of you might not know what I'm referring to there, so I just wanted to touch on that for a hot second. So I've never done any of what I feel is a little bit goofy stuff, like buying followers. I don't know if you guys knew that you could do that. Sometimes people will do that when they're first starting out to polish their metrics, okay, because they want you, the viewer, to look at them as an influencer, even though they haven't earned the credibility as one. So you do see that a lot today, and a real simple indication of that is engagement. Engagement is king. There's no point in purchasing followers to make yourself look good if you actually don't have the engagement. So sometimes you'll see somebody who has 100,000 followers and you think, oh, I can never do that. They may have bought their followers if you look at their posts and you see that there's no conversation ever happening. There's no engagement, right? What they're posting isn't landing because they have robots following their feed, right? So it doesn't mean anything. So I want you guys to pinky swear that after today, you will never entertain thoughts of doing that or to compare yourself in general to somebody who has an established following today, because it's the long game, friends. You have, like I keep talking about the last few weeks, this theme has come up. You have to start somewhere. To help you absorb what I'm talking about today, I've created a page on HOLFit. It's holfit.com/social media. My assistant Jill will pop that link up for you guys. Feel free to have it open as we go. It doesn't cover everything I'm going through today, but it is going to have the main things just so you can refer back to them. Alrighty, so what I first want to do is go over the most important things for you to understand about social media. So number one, and I actually have 10. This is like Dave Letterman's list of the most important social media things for you to know right now in the year of 2018 going on 19, okay? Number one, this has never changed. People buy from those that they know, that they like, and they trust, okay? Now, here's something interesting. 10 years ago, it took only 3 to 5 exposures for somebody to develop a know, like, and trust relationship with you. Today, any guesses on how many exposures it takes? I want you guys to think about the last time you purchased something from somebody, whether it was a program or a service or a product. I want you to think about how long you were following that person's content before you actually invested and took it to the next level. It was probably somewhere between 20 to 30 exposures. Okay, so times, yes, have changed, okay? Social media is free. It's your platform. It's your microphone with the world, but it's going to take a lot longer than it did 10 years ago. So some of you are guessing 5 to 8. That's what it was 10 years ago. Times have changed because access has improved, okay? I'm going to talk more about that today. So because your success online is directly linked to how well somebody knows, likes, and trusts you, you have to be very focused on creating the type of content that's going to build that trust with them, okay? Now, I mentioned there's a barometer you can use with people to really amplify the know, like, and trust factor. Some of you build online and you build in person. That's what I've done, okay? My entire business is not online, even though I have this online brand. Here's a barometer. When somebody meets you in person, will they have the same experience with you as they do online? This is what distinguishes a true influencer from an amateur, okay? Make that your main goal, is to be as you as possible online. This is so important, especially for those of you that are brand new. The sooner that you can be you online, the faster your business will grow, because that know, like, and trust feeling will be there with your audience. They'll feel like they know you. And the thing is, like, one of my favorite things to hear from people is that they feel that same warmth they would feel with me when I'm online, that they know of me in person, and vice versa. When they meet me in person for the first time and maybe they only know me online, they say, wow, you're exactly how I hoped you would be. That's my favorite thing to hear. That tells me that I'm doing things right? That I'm being authentic to who I am, and I'm building the kind of business that makes me excited, that I can live with, okay? That I don't want to build something where I don't recognize myself at the end of it all. Do you know what I mean? Really important to understand. Number two, you absolutely must care more about helping people than you do about money. This is super important. And you have to care about helping people more than you do about followers. Often people are chasing those two things, money and fame, and having followers and having some kind of a fake influence online. They're chasing that ahead of helping people. And if you reverse it, if you do that and you're chasing money and thinking, I just launched this program and no one bought it, so I'm going to quit. That's because you're chasing money, because you didn't take the time to truly understand what was going to make that program live, what was going to really solve problems for people. And I'm going to get to this today. The only way to do that, you guys, is to come from a place of service and helping people for years and years and years before you ever think of charging. You have to understand your audience. You have to spend time nurturing those relationships, okay? If you follow money and followers first, you're going to be back in the cubicle 3 years from now, working for someone else that has their priorities straight, okay? The people that are going to hire you in a couple years are the ones who have honored service before money. I kid you not, this is truth, okay? Number three, growing an online audience is going to take you 10 times longer than you think it's going to take. There's a common assumption that it's easier to build an online business. It is not easier. It's harder, but you absolutely have to do it, okay? You have no choice today, because in a couple of years, they're working right now on the ability to provide access to 8 billion people, which would be every single human being in the world. This is going to be the way people build trust. It's not billboards, and it probably won't be the way you're doing it today. Some of you maybe build your business in person, teaching workshops and classes. Have you already noticed that shifting, right? It is tougher for people to commit to things in person anymore, because the preference is to find their village online today, because time is strapped. It's not that that's their preference. Maybe that's the wrong word. I think that being in person will always trump online. But people are so strapped for time today that this is the key way that they're engaging with you and with your brand. So it's going to take 10 times longer than you thought it would, okay? And it's going to take years of creation and serving your dream customer, which I'll talk about today, before you ever start to get traction. Every single person that you know who has any kind of a following or brand online, they were building it in the wee hours of the night while you were sleeping, years before you ever started getting online. That's just the truth. And it's going to take time. And I'm not saying you have to pull late nights. I'm saying you have to be committed to the long game, and get rid of those thoughts that it's going to be easier than building in person. It's not easier, but you have to be online. The number one reason, you guys, that social media exists is to create community and conversations and build relationships. And so knowing that, again, if you're treating social media and not respecting it for what it is, an example of that would be maybe more of the kinds of content and posts that you make are constant pitches and constant promotions and selling people. That is you not respecting the platform for what it is. The platform exists to create connection and relationship, and that trust, again, has to be built before you ever start to promote what you're doing and pitch what you're doing. So again, you're working with ratios sometimes where, if you're committed to posting 5 times a week, 4 out of those 5 posts better be pure content value, in whatever way you feel is needed. It could be simple things like offering a recipe or a workout or whatever your niche is, to just opening up your life and sharing something you did today and humanizing yourself in the online world, okay? Being real with people. But like only 1 of your 5 posts should really be a sales focused type of post. Number 5, I've been talking about this. So value pitch. Okay, so the content that you're creating for people right now today that you're giving away freely will eventually turn into something that you pay for down the road. I want you to know that. You're probably posting certain things now because it interests you. You're developing your genius in that specific area that will turn into something that down the road you charge for. This is everything that I charge for today in my coaching programs. I offered freely to our community for years. One example would be the Beautiful Life Blueprint that I'm launching in December. For 2 years, I offered that whole process for free, and it'll always stay up for free. But the reason I'm turning it into an opportunity to pay program is because I have now a huge group of people that want more of this topic with me in a more private setting. So now I'm taking that content. I mean, you will always appreciate what you pay for, way more than you will anything for free. So that's the catch of this, right? Giving content to people freely is what is building your know, like, and trust factor with people, so that when you are ready to promote what you're doing or sell what you're selling, you have people who have been in it with you for a long time and they know your heart, okay? The next thing is identifying how you're going to add value. We all have something we are strong in that we are stronger than somebody else would be in, okay? So you want to figure out what your medium, what your platform preference is. So do you love using your voice? Do you have one of those like raspy, sexy voices? Like maybe you sing. Maybe you are just really strong at communicating a concept in a concise way, in a way that people understand. You're probably going to love podcasting, okay? You're probably going to love doing radio interviews. You're going to seek those kinds of opportunities out, right? Podcasting is so big right now. In fact, it is what blogging was 10 years ago, okay? So you can teach yourself how to do everything I'm talking about. Because I have, so I want to tell you right now, you can teach everything you want to learn. And if you're strong in using your voice, time to look into and teach yourself how to podcast. If you're a strong writer, perhaps you prefer writing and you know how to really tell a good story. You know how to capture people's hearts through words. You have to commit to blogging, writing newsletters. Perhaps you spend a whole year writing for free for the Huffington Post or Green Med Info or Mind Body Green. You do submissions to them regularly. You make that that's what you're committing to because you love to write. If you love video, this is my preference. I love video, which is why I started off building my brand with YouTube. And this is why I'm very comfortable with you in this setting. I love video. I'm fine with being on video. But I love it most because I know that this is the quickest way for me to build that know, like, and trust factor with you. I've said this before on the show. When you are here live with me, you feel almost like you're in the same room, right? You create that same kind of setting and feeling for your audience when you're on video, especially when you're brand new. Do not think you have to be perfect. In fact, people love seeing the amateur at work. They love seeing somebody who's just starting off and is just like them and I have left those videos up purposely on YouTube so you guys can see that we all do start somewhere. But if video is your thing, then you're going to want to commit to a schedule of Facebook Live and Instagram Live and YouTube, and just, looking for those ways to find your dream customer through video. And then visuals, if you're somebody who just takes beautiful pictures, who can tell a story through pictures, then your mediums are Instagram and Pinterest, right? That's where you're going to want to really focus your time. So what you want to do is create for that medium that you are confident in and strong in. A couple more points I wanted to make. You want to show people you. You want to show them your life. You want to help connect people. You want to connect the dots between what you teach and how you live. Those are the two ends of the spectrum that you over time have to bring in together as one, okay? So that when people come across your content on whatever medium you're choosing, there is a feeling of knowing that they know you, okay? Because what you live is what you teach, and what you teach is what you live, okay? So this is the barrier. This is the big trust bubble you have to enter. And a lot of people in social media today are missing it. They're missing it. They polish things so well. They'll look a certain way online. You meet them in person and they fall flat because they aren't building online authentically to who they are. Okay, so you want to have a strategy. You want to know what your strength is. And when you know what your strength is, let's say you realize you're a really good writer, you need to commit to a plan that you basically blueprint for yourself, a plan that you're going to execute for at least a year. You're going to write every single week. Maybe you're writing 3 times a week. Maybe you're guest blogging. Whatever medium you're choosing, you create a strategy and you plan ahead so that you're staying in your customer's radar, so that when your customer, your dream customer, when they think of what you do, whether it's a service or a product, let's say you build doTERRA, when your dream customer thinks of essential oils, you want them to think of you because you've reached them on your strong platform and authentically and confidently, okay? So I've talked about your dream customer a few times. I want to talk about this. This is really important. And I'm going to share something with you guys that contradicts what a lot of social media experts will teach you. And I'm totally cool with it because I believe this to the bone, okay? When you're trying to understand who you're trying to reach and who your dream customer is, oftentimes you will hear advice like, don't market to how you would want to be marketed to. Market to how your dream customer would want to be marketed to, okay? Now, that does matter if you do not own your own business, okay? That only matters actually if you don't own your own business. Because the whole reason you got into business and you own a business is because you want to create something that you wish existed. Okay, I started to pick up what I'm laying down here, but I want to backtrack for a second. Let's say you work for Starbucks or Target or Lululemon or Anthropologie. Guess what? They know their dream customer to the T. In fact, I remember 2 conversations I had when I was working with 2 different corporate brands through the decade of my 20s, okay? The first was with Starbucks. I spent 10 years working with Starbucks through a lot of high-level management ranks, okay? And I remember at one particular meeting at head office, I was bringing up my dissatisfaction with the lack of healthy options in our stores. This was over 10 years ago, but still, it was at that time where I thought, we need more healthy options. I'm tired of seeing all of these trans fat laden pastry case items, and I'm tired of stores not having alternative milks. Let's get on this, right? Let's lead this, because Starbucks is, the brand leader when you think of going to a cafe around the world. And guess what? They told me. They were clear that their dream customer, the customer that walks in their door every day, is actually not a health conscious customer. They knew their customer so well that they knew that their customer did not care about that. That's right. Jill wrote Unicorn Frappuccino. That's why they launched those things, because they know their dream customer does not care about that. I want to go even more specific with you. When I was an ambassador with Lululemon for 4 years, I used to voice my feedback quite often that I felt that they were missing a whole niche of people that I was working with at the time, new moms or moms who are pregnant, okay? That was a lot of my audience when I first started, because guess what? That's what I was. Okay, you're picking up what I'm laying down. So I voiced to Lululemon that I felt strongly they were missing out on this huge audience of moms. And, for example, what if they started creating leggings that could grow with a woman through her pregnancy, like a nice, roll down band that, that they could use? Or how about reversible colors in their leggings just to help them, last, through more looks, things like that. And guess what Lululemon told me? Oh yeah, that's nice and everything, Ange, but we actually know who our muse is. Her name is Ocean, and she's 32, and she works out every day, and she makes over 100,000 a year, and she doesn't have kids. And I remember thinking, like, but you're missing a whole group of people. Like, what are you thinking? And I know a lot of moms who shop at Lululemon. Hello, I live in it. But they were so clear on who their muse or who their avatar, whatever word you want to use, they were so clear on who their customer was that they were looking to attract, that they did not spend any time thinking about anyone else. Okay, so to my point, some of you know, yes, Amy. Hi, Amy. Amy said, and her boyfriend's name is Duke. That's right. And Duke makes more money than Ocean. Lululemon knows that. Okay. I'll link up an article, or you guys can Google Business Insider, and you can read all about Lululemon's muses. Okay, but here's what the experts aren't teaching you guys, right? If you're marketing to your dream customer, but not to you, you're missing your dream customer, because guess what? Your dream customer is you a couple of years ago. I'm going to let that just marinate for a second for you guys. You are marketing to the you from a few years ago. Here's why. If you own your own business, if you're building doTERRA or you're building a lifestyle brand, the whole reason you started it was to solve a problem for yourself initially, which turned into a great idea. You decided you wanted to help other people in that way because you helped yourself in that way. Your dream customer is you from a few years ago. So you need to constantly be thinking about where you were a couple years ago when you were desperately seeking the work that you do. That's the person you're looking to solve problems for. Woo! Everyone will tell you it's something different. Everyone will tell you, no, don't market. Even when you're building a website, I remember I got this advice. No, you need to build your website to be a place that would attract your customer, not what you like. I'm like, well, that makes zero sense, because I know who I want to work with, because it's me from a couple years ago. I want to work with her because I know how to help her because I've been her. Isn't that like, does that shift like so much for you? It's like not complicated at all, because you're helping you guys, and you know you and you know her. So I want to share something with you. The number one reason I grew fast in doTERRA. So I'm a double diamond leader in doTERRA. I have a big team. I have incredible leaders. We have almost 100,000 customers around the world. The number one reason that happened is because I attracted women to the work that we do that also understand this, because they could feel it in me. They knew every customer in our team, as big as we are, if you strip all of it away, okay, at the very core, our customers and our leaders know my heart, just like in their own individual teams. Their teams know their heart, okay? My entire community knows I've been where they are. They know that I know what's going on. They know that I know what keeps them up at night, because I've been where they are. They know that I'm a mom above everything else. They know that I'm a mom doing my best for my kids. And I have a heart to help people when I have figured something out. And I don't share something or teach something unless it's something I've truly figured out in my own home. And obviously you cannot fully figure motherhood out. I am not saying that, and nothing even close to that. I'm saying when I have figured out something that works, when I do something with my own kids and it's working and they're thriving, I want to share that, because I want to help other moms who were where I was, newly pregnant and desperately seeking information at a time where I felt like we were being told a lot of lies. My community, my team, And you guys, even if you're new here, what I want you to know most about me, I guess, is that I would be a nightmare for someone that has an agenda today to tear down the good, or to anyone playing an active role in disconnecting women, specifically mothers, from her intuition and from her body. I'm a nightmare for those people, trust me. Anyway, I digress. When you are clear on who you are here to help, the you of a couple of years ago, you create everything for her, okay? Everything for her. Your goal is actually to repel people who are not her, okay? And you want to really get to know, what she's needing. When I first started in holistic nutrition years ago, that whole scene, you guys, was so boring to me. Like, if I had to look at another blogger talking about green smoothies and kale recipes and ClickFunnels and everything in the Helvetica new font, I was going to poke my eyeballs out. Like, I wanted to create what didn't exist. So I did. I hopped on YouTube. I started just sharing openly through video. I used a lot of neon. I would have the deeper conversations about what's going on. It's never about a green smoothie. I was so bored of all of that was going on that I decided to disrupt that through my own work. I wanted to reject everything that I was being told what I had to do, like the perfect webinars and the perfect photo shoots, and all that stuff was so boring to me at that time. It actually still is. But I didn't want to do the ClickFunnels and all the perfect. I wanted to show up and be raw and be real and be me and use my strengths to reach her. Okay. So on that website I linked for you, wholefit.com/social media, there are questions at the very bottom. I've given you like 10 or 12 questions to help you understand who your muse is, to help you go back and think about, like, what would you have been attracted to a couple of years ago? Because you've been basically walking out that journey ever since. Like my muse, for example, you guys, her name is Sloan, which means warrior. She's hip, she's playful, she's savvy, she's resourceful. I care so much about the people I work with being resourceful and being people who are seeking their own empowerment. I want to completely repel people who are not. Do you hear me? And I do. They can't get on the phone with me because I repel that. I repel when you have everything you need. I repel that attitude of wanting more and trying to take. Okay. So I want to find the resourceful, savvy, playful, doesn't take the wrong things seriously, but takes the right things seriously. She's a leader in her home and in her social circle. And she's in a season of life where she realizes she's here to lead bigger. I'm looking to find her. I want to find her who takes ownership of her life. She's seeking clarity on the woman she's here to be. She's protective over her time. She doesn't just leech it out to people. She's preparing. She's in a season of preparing to honor her purpose. And my own boldness and the truth that I share, it doesn't trigger her. No. It triggers a lot of other people, but not her. In fact, it draws her in. It's like she's reading her own book. She's home. That's who I'm looking to find. I create for her. And I get excited about the people that unfollow. I get excited about the people who unsubscribe from newsletters because I need them away, okay? I need to repel the people that are not her. Do you understand? This is so freeing if you truly understand this. Because I think a lot of the fear is, well, what if I get rejected? What if I post something and it's crickets? Or what if I put myself out there and people don't like it? Good, because you need to filter through that noise right now. You need to repel those people. They are not the ones you're here to help, and you're going to lose friends. They were friends loosely. Because you need to be obsessed with helping her. You'll notice I'm saying her a lot. You know why? Because I'm clear that 99.5% of you are women right here on this call. We might have one husband listening in somewhere. My husband is at the fire hall listening in, perhaps. I'm not speaking to him. I'm not speaking to your husband. I'm speaking to you. So I really want this to register because this is going to affect everything you share going forward. You let go of the results because you are in a time right now where you are seeking to reach her. And the only reason you're going to do that is because you give and give and give and share and share and share until she finds you. Okay. Facebook, you guys, we're going to go through a couple platforms. I'm going to take your questions. So Facebook is the giant, right? It has 2.3 billion users. 1.5 billion of those are daily users. There's 5 new profiles created on Facebook every single second. Facebook is taking over. Instagram, in contrast, is running up. It has 1 billion, okay? The world has changed. This is where people are. This is where people are gathering their content. This is where people are getting their news. This is where people are deciding who and what they're going to buy. Facebook and Instagram, okay? Now, right now, 30% of the world's population is online. Estimates are that by 2025, 8 billion people will be hyper-connected throughout the world. There are like SpaceX and Google and Virgin. They're all working right now to create and make that possible. So the world will be connected. Okay, now this is why you can understand social media has to have algorithms. You may have heard that word before. So Facebook and Instagram, they use formulas to, get eyeballs on your content. So actually, when you're just starting out, you'll have a lot more eyeballs in your content. But as you grow, you're going to have to pay to play. You're going to have to pay for people to see your content because there's just so much competition. But one way around that is to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and be consistent in that space. This podcast is a good example of that. You'll notice I don't say, hey guys, I'll see you next week. I'm not sure the day of time, but I'll post it next week. I don't do that. That would be amateur version. What I do, I don't mean to be saying that you're an amateur if you do that. I'm saying for me right now in my journey, that would be an amateur move. For me right now in my journey to reach you, I want you to come to know Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I am fiercely protective of my schedule around that. The only times I don't show up is if I'm traveling or we've got something that's pulling me out of the office that I have to be at. But I honor that, okay? Because I want to teach my community where they can find me. And if I'm just random, then that's all getting lost in the noise of social media. I mentioned before, it takes at least 20 exposures today for someone to have a level of comfort with your brand. In contrast, that was about 5 exposures 10 years ago. So you need to understand that. It's going to take a lot more today. You cannot just put up a picture on Instagram and expect to have hundreds and hundreds of likes. You're going to need to nurture and respect that platform for what it is and how much is on there until your customer finds you. And then they start to tell their friends who are also your customers, and that's how it starts to grow. Okay, so quick roundup of all the platforms available right now. So personally, I'm very invested in Facebook and Instagram. It's like, and then the podcast, obviously. Everything else outside of that are just like, I'm just kind of there, okay? Like YouTube, Twitter. Like I don't invest heavily in becoming better on those platforms because my key focus is Facebook and Instagram. So this is my opinion. I want to put a disclaimer in front of this. I posted this like 6 or 8 months ago on Instagram stories, just with a quick, what I'm seeing happen in social media. So again, this is my opinion. Take it for what it is, but it's what I'm seeing and it's what I believe is happening, okay? Instagram, in my opinion, is the new blogging. Now, blogging is still a thing. I have a website, I have blogs. The good thing about blogging is that people can actually Google a topic and find your blog. But more people are wanting to read the longer form conversations today in Instagram. And when I'm talking about Instagram right now, I'm talking about your grid. So when you go to your profile, you see your pictures. My personal approach with Instagram on the grid is I post usually once a week. Maybe sometimes twice a week, but when I post, I pour my heart into it. That's just my personal approach. I want to make it special. I want to make it impactful. I want to have conversations around the conversation that the picture is inspiring. Okay. So this is where I do more of my, quote unquote, blogging would be on my Instagram wall today. And I usually post, like I said, once a week. Now, what I do have in my calendar is on Fridays, I will often take the Instagram that I did and I will upload it as an actual blog post and maybe expand a little on my website so that it lives longer. So that's a key thing that I do strategically is everything I create, I look at how I can help it live beyond just that post. Okay, so that's one example there. On Instagram, I also want to mention you can follow not only people, but you can follow hashtags. So if there's a certain person you're trying to reach, you might follow a hashtag that would interest that person, and then you start to engage with that person or that group of people who are posting with that hashtag. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good way for you to find your audience there. In terms of following people, so personally, I only follow 100 people. This might sound weird to you, but when I follow someone new, I take off someone I'm following. And this is nothing personal. The reason that I do this is because I want to keep my feed focused on who I'm specifically nurturing at this time in this season of life. And I do the same thing with my closet. When I buy something, it goes on a hanger and something else comes off of a hanger to be donated. Just a little tip. But maybe you need to cut back on the amount of information that's coming in at you through Instagram and clean that up and follow people. And just because you're not following somebody doesn't mean you don't love them and you're not friends with them. It just means that right now you're nurturing a maximum of relationships that you can handle, right, in that space. So maybe you need to take that down a notch. Maybe you only want to be following people who are at a level that you're headed in, or are people that you're working with right now and nurturing that relationship. Insta stories, you guys, is my favorite thing ever. Here's why. I believe that Insta stories are the key way for you to build trust over time and a lot faster. Okay. This is where you're going to basically, open up your life for people and let them in. They're like mini commercials for your brand, but not staged. They're real life. They're like you in the moment. Whatever you're doing. I mean, the nice thing about Insta stories is they allow you to document throughout your day, rather than trying to make everything perfect. It allows you to create content and add value to people in just a real-time way. So people get a kind of an inside peek into your life. I'm obsessed with Insta stories. I think it's so fantastic. And I was not on board right away when they came out. I kind of found them useless because they only live for 24 hours, but I totally get it now, because it is that key way for people to come into your life and really understand who you are. Now, Facebook, I want to come back to you for a second. There's Facebook in general. You probably all have a personal Facebook account, but then there's Facebook groups and there's Facebook pages. They're two very different things, you guys, and I want you to understand the difference. A Facebook page is like if you owned a brick and mortar business, it would be like your Facebook page. It's like if you have a business or a brand, you're probably going to want to have a Facebook page. But this is not where you're going to get really high engagement. It's just that you need to have a presence there, because if you're in business, you do not want to be spamming all of your friends and family on your personal wall with all of your business stuff and keeping them up to date there, because they may not care about that. They just want to see pictures of your kids. So you want to have a brand page also because your Facebook account gets capped at 5,000. So I can't have any more personal friends unless I add them personally on my Facebook profile, because I have over 5,000 there. So people can't request to be my friend there, but they can go over and like my Whole Fit brand page where I'm streaming this show. So it's good to have a brand page when you're starting out and you have a business. You'll also get insights over there. You can track, what kind of posts are actually getting engagement, but your engagement will be lower than it will in a group. So when you have a Facebook page and you want to make sure content is getting seen, especially when you get up over like 10,000 likes on your brand page, the good stuff, the stuff you want to make sure people are seeing, you're going to have to pay for them to see. It's just the way it works. Like I have 25,000 over there on Facebook here. You can see right now, even for this live broadcast, which I communicate out and I let people know it's always Wednesday, same time, there's 200 viewers of 25,000. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? And if I post something over there, if I don't pay money to have you see it, it might get 10 to 20 engagements, likes, comments, that kind of thing. Okay, so you're going to get a lot less over there, but it is kind of your storefront. Okay, Facebook groups, on the other hand, this is where you create your community feel, your village, if you will. This is where you can create more of an exclusive and VIP kind of value-driven content. So your page might be more just freestyle stuff, whereas your group might have more strategy involved of how you're going to add value. So for example, on my essential oil team, I have a customer group, and all of my groups are private. So you have to be in it in order to be added. Somebody in the group has to add you. You can't just search it. I have 24,000 of our customers in that oil group. For the first 4 years that was building, I poured into that group, you guys. I would do live streams. I still post. I have posts that go in that group 3 to 5 times a day, giving them essential oil recipes and resources and toolkits. I mean, if you're on our team, you know this. We have toolkits for every topic. We're posting all the time in there so that it can be a hub for our community where they can come and find the answers they're looking for. I have a builder group for all the leaders on our team building doTERRA, which has about 5,500 people in it. And then I have a higher level group for just our silvers and above, which has about 300 of our leaders in it. And, I share different things in those groups because more eyeballs are going to be on that content, and it's more of a value added experience. This is a perk of working with me on our team, right? And this is what you can offer your team, is that perk where they get that kind of access. I also do groups for every coaching program that I run. So Ready, Set, Glow Detox, it's on right now. I have a private group just for them where they're getting the content. The ebook is pinned there. Webinars are there. Answers to their questions. The community comes out, and that's where they support each other under that topic, okay? So I love groups. There's a lot of ways you can use them now to make them better, such as using units. So I have a little group for my personally enrolled new people doing doTERRA, and it's called Launch. And I use the units section to categorize the information I want them to be able to find very quickly as they're building their business. So I love groups, but it can get out of hand. You want to make sure if you're in groups or, if you're in a lot of groups, you want to make sure you control your notifications so you're not getting dinged all the time. You can turn those on or off, and maybe you set parameters for yourself to check at certain times a day. Do not add people automatically to groups. I made that mistake early on when Facebook was kind of first getting going. I just thought, well, everybody will want to learn about essential oils, so I'll just add all my friends to my group. No, it's a huge no. You can certainly post on your personal wall that you've started a group and then invite people to join, but they have to join of their own will, okay? Okay, and yes, some of these groups I mentioned are for my Whole Fit Oil community. If you're in doTERRA, for example, somebody in your upline will have a group, I assure you, okay? So reach up if you're looking for a group to get connected to. And then I mentioned there's a couple other things. So podcasting is something I'm also very invested in. I think it's a really important platform to be on today because people love to learn while they're on the go. I do. And again, I'm marketing to me, right? I love podcasts. I love to listen to them while I'm folding laundry or cooking dinner or driving. So I assume my girl wants content as a podcast, okay? So that's why I'm on there. I would definitely encourage you to look at it if you're somebody who loves, has a lot to say, has a lot on your heart and things you want to share with the world and have those conversations. I personally chose not to make this an interview platform where I don't interview other leaders because there's a lot of that going on and it's great and I love it. But again, I wanted to disrupt a bit of that and offer a new format where I can engage with you live. And then I upload it as a podcast, okay? Last two things I'll mention, websites. Yes, you do need a website. There's a lot of people who say, well, you don't need it because social media exists, but social media could shut down at any time. You do want to have, but a website is important, but it's not going to be the first place people go when they want to understand who you are. They're going to look at things like Instagram and Facebook. In fact, if I was hiring at Starbucks today, I would not be looking at people's resumes. I would be looking at their social media presence. I want to know who they really are, okay? And don't kid yourself. If you're applying for jobs somewhere today, that boss is doing the exact same thing with you. So you want to be very responsible about what you're sharing online today because it lives. Blogging, we talked about already. Newsletters, I personally only send out one a month. I hate getting newsletters, so I assume my girl hates getting newsletters. And so unless I'm in a launch, I might send a newsletter out twice a month, but I send one a month. You guys can subscribe if you want. We'll pop the link up, and it's once a month, and it's just a catch-all of the content I've created. So it's a place for people to get caught up and not feel like they can't find what they're looking for because social media is so noisy. The last thing I'll mention is Twitter. We haven't really talked about it. I personally spend 0 time on Twitter. I have stuff that will auto post to Twitter. You can set up your Instagram or Facebook so that it posts to Twitter. But my opinion of Twitter, you guys, you get 140 characters to write something. This is where you're going to find a lot of the keyboard warriors. They all live on Twitter. This is where you'll find the people that would absolutely fail the real influencer test in life. Yeah, they have a lot to say with 140 characters behind a tweet, but if they would never come out and say it. And you'll notice a lot of people on Twitter, they have a lot to say, but they don't stand for anything. They're just creating noise, and it's to me, meh. I don't look at it. I mean, if I want to find something fast, you can sometimes find, if you want to stay up to things going on in the news, for example, you might look at Twitter. You can find things fast on there, but I personally don't invest in it at all. Okay, a couple more quick things. Let me just see what we have time for, because I have to get going. Whew, loading it up. Okay, so personally, I want to give you my quick schedule, and then I'm going to go to your questions. How I batch my focus with social media, I see a lot of you asking that. How do you stay on top of all of your groups and all that sort of thing? Oh, someone asked about LinkedIn. I don't use it. I don't use it because I'm spending 0 time today in a boardroom. Thank goodness. But I don't use it. I think that honestly, LinkedIn is brilliant for people who are in the workplace and who are looking to job hop sometimes. It's a great way to stay connected, but I don't use it. Okay, Mondays. So again, I mentioned my key thing is this show. And I want you all to think about what your key thing is that you're going to commit to doing consistently this year. So because my key thing is this show on Wednesdays, I reverse engineer that, and I backtrack, and I make sure my Monday and Tuesday honor what I need to have in place in order to show up for you on Wednesdays and do all the things. So Monday is a day where I line up the broadcast, I tee it up so you know it's coming, I prep the topic, I write my show notes, get everything ready for the show. I also use a tool called Meet Edgar to auto post on social media. So that's what I use to post in my Facebook groups, for example, various essential oil things. It's what I use to post to my brand page, you know, recipes, things that I think that the community would like there. I use Edgar to do that. You can use Hootsuite, whatever your preference is. Tuesday, I do a couple of calls, and it's like kind of my follow-up day with my customers, and that's when I tend to be on the phone a little more. Wednesday, I'm on. Wednesday's my on day. So, you know, head up, I'm with you. Schedule is clear. I don't do anything else on Wednesdays. I go live with you, and then I circulate that content and I get the podcast up and going. Because remember, a key thing I'm looking at is how can I help this content live beyond right now? So I upload it to YouTube. I upload it as a podcast. I add it to the Edgar library, so it posts out later. Yes, Edgar is paid. It would be the Cadillac of social media management, but I love it because you can save everything to a library and then it'll auto post for you. And then I upload the podcast to my website as well. So I'm thinking of circulation constantly. Thursday is my inbox clear out day. I clear out my inbox. I clear out Voxer. I clear out text messages. You'll notice I said Thursday because I will often only do this once a week. I have over time tried my best to teach my community, unless it's an emergency, I probably won't be getting back to them for a week. It's just the only way I can manage to do things the way I need to do them to run my business. And also, everything's available today. There's no reason that somebody should be texting you looking for something and need a response back in 24 hours. There just isn't. Friday's my creative day. Sometimes it's my CEO day. I talked about that on Instagram this week. But it's my day where I'll do some writing, blogging, planning, might go shopping, get inspired, go to a cafe. That's my Friday. I might do an appointment in the afternoon on Fridays. Saturday's personal development. I will often listen to a whole audiobook on a Saturday or 3 hours of podcasts. I do a parking lot where I take my big whiteboard and I put everything that I think I need to do on there and figure out when I'm going to do it or if it just needs to come off. And I clear my calendar for the week, and then Sunday I'm offline for the most part. I might pop on and show a quick recipe I'm making for dinner, but I'm pretty offline on Sunday. Daily, I use Insta stories 5 to 7 times usually. That's where you really get to know me, I feel. I mentioned the monthly newsletter that I send out. And then the first day of every month, what I wanted to mention is I usually work about 12 hours on the first day of the month, really loading up my month of content, planning, nurturing my customers, nurturing my team. I do that on the first day of the month. It's a long day. Okay, so I want to take questions, the top questions that you guys submitted. So, and again, these were the most liked questions. So the first one comes from Kelly. And again, this is over on Facebook. She said, what is best for my doTERRA business, a page or a group or both? And do I add a VIP group for specials, etc.? I want to grow my online presence with more Facebook Lives. P.S. Would you do online classes? And if so, what maximizes them? So I talked about the difference between Facebook pages and groups today. So you would want to start a brand page if you want to grow your business and over time have somewhere where people go. And that is where you would do your Facebook Lives, not on your personal page. Your group would be where you're creating something private for your team. Now, I didn't mention this, but I also have like a VIP exclusive group just for my personal customers that I use a couple times a year for promotions. Like when doTERRA runs their BOGOs, I'll add extra value to just that group, okay? So yes, you could do that. And online classes are important for sure. You can make them a private experience, but only 1/3 of the people who sign up for your online class will actually show up. Just the nature of the beast. So you want to have them happen consistently so people always have something they can attend. Marissa asked, what is the best way to attract new followers? Can you do so purely online without meeting people in real life? Yeah, you can, but that hurdle is going to be big, right? I mentioned this at the start. It's going to take a lot longer to build trust with you. So you have to be prepared for that, like a couple years. If you only want to work online, you have to really teach people that they can know, like, and trust you. Carrie asked, what's the most effective way to reach cold market clients on social media and follow up with them? You need to, again, it comes back to knowing your customer. I wouldn't focus on this broad question of cold clients. How do you find your hot client, the one that you're meant to work with? You keep speaking into her, not trying to just cast this net and reach every single person. That's not the goal. You are not for everybody. And then following up with them, I mean, social media is great because you can actually see those conversations, but you probably want to use some sort of a tracking. I personally like to invite people to personally email me if they want to get started with doTERRA, for example, and then I help them through that. And if they're not ready yet, that conversation's there and I can refer back to it easily in my inbox rather than trying to find a message on Facebook. I don't like Facebook message. It just, for me, it's like every day and it's just really hard to find information. So I prefer to invite them to my inbox. Amy asked, what do you recommend for creating community when you are in the younger ranks? Do you recommend a Facebook community group or a social media following? I've heard you say before not to brand yourself too early, so I've been participating in my uplines community, which is great. Okay, so what she's talking about here is I've said, in doTERRA specifically, don't spend so much time trying to build your brand in the beginning until you have established who you are. If you have a clear sense on who you are and who you want to help, then go for it. I just see a lot of people starting their own groups on Facebook when they've just started their doTERRA business and they don't really have value to add to that group. So it becomes a space that people don't even want to be a part of. So you really need to understand, how are you going to add value to people if you do start a group? Once you're clear on that, go for it. And certainly start to build your brand the whole time, online, start to write, start to do videos, start to, post to your Facebook page as consistently as possible so that when people think of what you do, they think of you. Okay, a couple duplicate kind of questions here. Just seeing if there's something we haven't talked about. Is it best to keep a business and personal Instagram and Facebook account so things are separate, or is it better to post all the things in the same personal and business account? Okay, personally, I think Instagram, you should have one account. It's your life, it's pictures, it's business, it's life, and it's not like you're like constantly posting promotions, right? You're building trust through that framework. Facebook, however, your Facebook friends do not want to see your business stuff all the time. So start a Facebook page. It's just, again, it's my 2 cents. Instagram, especially if you are building a brand, a lifestyle brand, have one account. Let people into your life and see who you are. And again, if they unfollow you because if you post once, if 1 out of every 5 of your posts is a promotion or sale and you people unfollow you, good. Because at least you're following the rule of adding value. But the people that leave and unfollow, they're not your customer. Okay? The last question we have here. How do I come up with topics to talk about and get others engaged? Again, simple answer. I want you to think of who you were a couple of years ago before you found the product or service or whatever it is that you work with. What was your state at that time? Create for that person. What do they need to read? What do they need to see you post and talk about and open up your life and teach them? It's just genuine. Have a notebook with you at all times. I get inspired so much when I'm driving. I often have to pull over to a parking lot and write out my next big idea or the post or the Instagram post I need to make next week or whatever. Have a way of tracking those inspired ideas when they come to you. I do have to wrap this up because I have to go get my kids right now, so I'm not going to be able to take live questions today. However, if you have a question that I did not answer, I went through a lot today pretty fast. I want you guys on Instagram to hop over to the Facebook brand page and leave it there with a heart in front of it. I will answer all of those questions tomorrow that have a heart in front of them if I if I didn't answer it live. Your homework today, you guys, I want you to go to that page, holfit.com/social media. And I want you to have a clear idea of who your dream customer or muse is. I want you to go through those questions at the end of that document and get clear on that so you get excited to create for her and not for everybody else, okay? I'm going to be back next week with our live. Next Wednesday, it'll be Halloween. I have, like, it sounds like a funny topic, but it's actually a very meaningful, deep topic. The topic next week is the scariest movie you could ever watch. And it's not what you think. So I'm going to leave you guys now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions and your comments. And as always, I do this show to add value to your life. Because if I have figured something out and it's working, I want to share it with the world. I want to help you where you are so you don't get distracted by things that aren't going to work. I will see you back next week. Feel free to wear costumes. I might put a wig on. We'll see. Thanks, you guys. Mwah.